1450 FM 99.3 KNSI. Time for another edition of Taking You Home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. 7:23 every Thursday morning. Saturday afternoons now at 12:53. Start that home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Brandon, good to see you, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Well, we have a lot of things to talk about. One of my favorite things is numbers, right? And you have some statistics today.
You know, we're into June, so
Yep.
we're right on the cusp of being in the heart of the summer months, and we'll blink and it'll be over. But from a real estate perspective, you know, the months of April and May really kind of defines what the spring market has been and what's going to lead into the rest of the summer.
So the spring market this year really started, back in January almost?
Yeah, and so now we're starting to see, you know, as purchase agreements go under contract in March and April and they close in April and May, we're really able to look back and see, okay, what were we feeling and did that match with the actual data itself?
You know, we've been singing the same song for a long time, right? Inventory is super tight. Has that changed at all?
Yeah, so what's interesting, now this is from statewide statistics, so the state of Minnesota, new listings from April of 2023 last year to this year, so April 2023 versus April 2024,
right.
New listings are up over 20%, 20.3%.
Now, why is that? Interest rates are also up.
Well, I think you're starting to see a combination of things. People where their lifestyles, they just can't wait any longer.
Right.
Whether that's, you know, expansion of family, lifestyle changes, people are finally saying it's time.
Sure.
So you're seeing in the month of April, 20% more homes come on the market, which is huge.
How about the fact that the average rate, right, for the past 30 years has been right around 7%. So this is really
Return
a
to
normal,
the norm.
Right,
Yep.
and maybe it's just kind of starting to sink in a little bit.
Yeah, and again, we've touched on this ad nauseum before, but we had such a shock to the system with such a rapid increase,
Right.
going from 3 to 6.5 in a matter of 45 days. So anytime you have that significant
Is that
change,
right? It was 45 days?
it was less than 2 months,
Wow.
and we doubled the interest rate, you know, in summer of 2022. So, again, if it was gradual, it would be less of an impact as far as the shock to the economic system. But I mean, we've been between 6 and 8% now for the last 24 months.
Sure.
So we're, you know, kind of honing in. I don't see, there's been all this talk, especially 6 months ago, about interest rates dropping.
Right.
That has yet to materialize, and I don't think that's going to come to fruition in the near future either.
I like to say maybe November.
Yeah,
Maybe November.
And if you're trying to, I've given up trying to predict
you
it because it's such a rapidly evolving environment that you gotta tune that out.
Okay, so if new listings are up, pending sales are up, I must think that your prices must be going up, your values too.
Yeah, so the median price in the state of Minnesota, this is not just central Minnesota, but all across, so it includes the metro, northern Minnesota, southern Minnesota.
Okay.
The median sales price increased 4.5% to a little over $350,000.
Okay.
So, again, more sales, a little more inventory. Even with the higher interest rates, values are still climbing. And so what that says to me is if interest rates, if and when they ever come down, values are just going to increase even more.
I think so, yeah. Okay, so what about average time on the market? How's that?
Average time on the market has stayed about flat in the metro. It has grown here in central Minnesota, but on a statewide basis, we're looking at about 42 days on the market.
Higher end homes take a little longer to sell?
Yeah,
or
and
no?
so that's where, in getting into kind of like a deep dive analysis, where if you're in central Minnesota, St. Cloud, and you're $250,000, and you can relate to this, Bob, $250,000 or less, your average days on market time is under 14 days.
Yeah.
When you get above that $450,000 range in central Minnesota, your average days on market is pushing 100 days.
And see, I would think that those folks that can afford that kind of a house they would have their ducks really in a financial row.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take that long.
But what you're seeing is the homes between $400,000 and $500,000 now are really, it's still upper end, but it's not the high end.
Right.
$400,000 to $500,000 is really the move up buyer right now.
And I have a hard time wrapping my head around that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It truly is.
You know, because the median home's $350,000. So
Yeah.
when you think about $450,000 to $500,000, that is, you know, especially from our age, seems astronomical, but that's really not what the high end market is anymore.
Okay, where do you see all of this going, Brandon?
I see the pinch on entry level homes continuing.
Okay.
That is going to do nothing but exacerbate the challenges for first time home buyers.
Yeah.
And so my biggest recommendation, and not to get on now's a great time to buy, because I don't believe that, it's all about your specific situation.
Yeah.
But versus renting, I really think the sooner the time is best for you to make that purchase, the better.
Yeah.
Because I don't see rents coming down, and I don't see property values coming down. Interest rates have probably, if we start approaching 8, 9, 10% interest rates, there's going to be more serious problems.
Yeah.
Interest rates are more likely to fall than increase.
Yes.
That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong.
Right.
But if you're waiting for values to come down, I think you're going to be waiting indefinitely. I don't see that happening. So I think planting your flag in the ground as a first-time home buyer, again, the time's got to be right for you.
Right.
But if you think if you're waiting for 5.5% interest rates, if we ever get to that point again,
Yeah.
values are going to have gone up way more than
Yeah.
what that savings on interest rate is going to buy you, and you can always refinance.
Amen. Buy now.
Yeah.
Buy now.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not a realtor. I'm not a lender or any of that.
Yep. And again, I come from I'm not a fan of now is a great time to buy through thick and thin, because it all depends on your individual situation. Just if you take a step back, I would encourage my kids when they get to that age that if it's the right time and place for you is to buy sooner than later, because I do not see values generally coming down on a global basis.
Exactly right. Brandon, how do we work with you at VoigtJohnson Real Estate?
You can reach us at 320-774-2400 or online at VoigtJohnson.com.
Taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate Thursdays at 7:23 in the morning, Saturday afternoon at 12:53. Start that home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Brandon, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.